Welcome to Baseball Money is Fake, a fantasy baseball podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. I am Blake Meyer. Joined by me, as always, is my man Ryan Gilbert. How you doing on this beautiful Monday, Ryan?
I'm doing good. Got a new week. Got a new or continued fantasy baseball week, depending on your All-Star break. But yeah, I'm doing good. Monday in the books here. I think a lighter slate here of games. So yeah, excited to watch some baseball tonight and get into some baseball talk here with you.
I'm excited as well, especially since the one person that I think the entire baseball world has been waiting on to get called up at this point, Christian Encarnacion-Strand, has finally been called up by the Cincinnati Reds, which is, I mean, it's about time. I was starting to think he wasn't going to get called up until maybe September at this point, but they have decided to go all in on the season, it feels like. Christian Encarnacion-Strand is here. I believe he's batting 7th today. So if you're listening to this live, he's in the lineup. If you're listening to this on the podcast feed,
he's still in the lineup.
He's still in the lineup, and I hope he went 4 for 4. And his fellow rookie, Elly De La Cruz, is leading off today, which is interesting as well.
He's been cold recently, though, I saw. I'm not sure if he broke out of it yesterday, but he was like 0 for 12.
I think he was another 0 for yesterday, too. But you know what? Leading off, I sprinkled a little on the over 1.5 total bases and over 1.5 runs and RBIs on Elly today. So I'm hoping that all it needs is one to hit. If one hits, I'm cool. But yeah, Christian Encarnacion-Strand, if I could say his damn name right, is here. Ryan, do you have any shares of Encarnacion-Strand, and what do you think the outlook is for him going forward?
I do. I picked him up in my keeper league. I believe I may have drafted him. Let me check. I got my player history. I picked him up on June 14th, which seems kind of late for a keeper league. I saw your text last night. You said he's called up. I went to my 8-team league and picked him up because I had a roster spot, so I have him in those two. Yeah, I mean, he did everything asked of him at AAA. We talked about him, I think, a few weeks ago when their GM or somebody came out and said, well, there's not a roster spot for him. He's going to have to be a injury or a trade to make it that so he can be caught up. I don't think there's any injury there. I think it's just, they just got swept by the Brewers and need a little bit of spark. And Encarnacion-Strand's on a 5-game multi-hit streak, 2-game back-to-back games with 2 doubles. Since June 29th in 13 games, he's 20 for 55 with 3 home runs, 2 doubles, and a triple. This is just what he does. So, yeah, this is good for the Reds that they need another rejuvenating prospect to be called up. And you know what? He's been doing it for the past few years in the minors. So there's no reason to think that won't continue this season now in the major leagues.
Yeah, he's doing the thing that we all say, like everybody makes the stupid, he's putting up video game numbers reference. Everybody does that with everybody in every sport that's having a good year. He's actually putting up video game like numbers. In 67 games, he has 43 extra base hits. That's not supposed to happen.
He has 65 runs and 62 RBIs. He's almost on pace with a run and RBI per game. Imagine someone having 150 runs scored, 150 RBIs in a full major league season.
While hitting .331, lowering his strikeout rate to a career best 21%, and walking a career best 10%. He's literally doing everything, and I get it. Everybody gets hyped on these prospects, but Christian Encarnacion-Strand is just a little different than the rest. He doesn't have the speed. He's not going to come out and steal freaking 40 bases. He's not Elly De La Cruz in that way, but he is maybe baseball's next big home run hitter, like big young home run hitter. Like he seems to have 40 home run power, which not a lot of guys come up and have 40 home run power. And he's very fly ball dominant in the minors, very pull heavy in the minors, which is going to play so well at Great American Ballpark. He's got like just shy of like a 24% line drive rate too, which we talk about a lot. It's a good indicator of kind of some success at the major league level in hitting wise if they can stick to the line drives. But yeah, he has a game that is very suited for playing at that home Great American Ballpark. The Reds actually play 7 home games in 7 days this week, so he is just fully set up for success. He needs to be in your lineup because I know I'm still curious to see exactly how they're going to like work out where he plays. they've been pretty set on working him a little bit everywhere to get him in the lineup. I know in the minors he played first base, he played third base, he hit at DH. He also played a little left field and right field, not a lot, but they tried him out there. So they seem pretty set on getting him in the lineup every single day. And if that happens, I mean, I got to think third base is his main position. I got to think easily top 12 third base for the rest of the year with top 10 positional upside moving forward.
Top 10 first base the rest of the year, you said?
Third base. I mean, first base too. He has
to get third base eligibility first. Is he third base eligible in ESPN?
He's only third base on ESPN.
Oh, he's only first base. On Yahoo. I was
interesting.
My next question was, where does he rank for you in first baseman? But I mean, you're more third base focused, I guess, since you do more ESPN. I do more Yahoo. But I have a list here. I wrote down a little list of players. Okay. You have the top 5. You're not dropping for him. Freeman, Vlad, Alonso, Goldschmidt, Olsen. You're not dropping for him.
Nope.
Then you got this group of guys. Nathaniel Lowe, I think, has proven to be decent. You're not going to drop for him, but like, Justin Turner is an interesting one. I don't think you drop him for Encarnacion-Strand.
I would take Encarnacion-Strand over, but I wouldn't drop Justin Turner for him.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the question. If you're in a tight league and you're like, oh, there's this top prospect coming up, but I have this first baseman that's good. Should I drop him? I think there are people in that Yandy Diaz, Luis Arias, who are kind of both in that realm of guys. It's like, okay, you could drop him. Encarnacion-Strand could end up being better than them. I think it also comes down to if you want power. If you want power, get Encarnacion-Strand. If you want the 380, 390 average, get Arias. Then you got guys like Santander. He has first base eligibility now in Yahoo leagues. Josh Naylor, Christian Walker, Spencer Steer, his teammate. Like, first base is deeper than I thought when I was looking at it. So luckily I had him stashed, but because like my first baseman are Goldschmidt, Santander just got it, and I would, and Nathaniel Lowe in my keeper league, and I have a corner infielder, so like I wouldn't have dropped necessarily any of them for them. In a keeper I would have, but in a redraft league, I think there's a lot of people asking like, oh, should I drop this guy for him? And I don't know. I'm not as high on Encarnacion-Strand as you are. I don't know if the Reds can have 2 top prospects come up and just light the world on fire in the same year. But you know what? Hopefully they can for their sake.
I hope they can too, just because it would be so fun to watch. And first base for me is like 17 deep, like rosterable players. I really think he's probably top 12 with that top 10.
Cody Bellinger, I didn't mention Anthony Rizzo, like
Mountcastle. I like him over Rizzo and Mountcastle.
Yeah, of course.
Bellinger.
Bellinger.
He is. Bellinger might be the benchmark. He's like right around there, maybe. But yeah, because I mean, Encarnacion-Strand's ceiling, it's probably a top. Right now, it's probably a top 7 at the position ceiling. Right now,
his ceiling is probably like similar. I mean, Nathaniel Lowe, I think is. I think he's pronounced Lau. Nathaniel Lau.
Yeah.
Has been pretty good this season. He has only 10 home runs and 278, but like that Texas Rangers offense. So yeah, I think Encarnacion-Strand really depends on your risk tolerance with what you're willing to drop.
Yeah, because the floor is there. It's got a low floor just because he's an unheralded prospect. We don't know how good he is or isn't going to be, so you don't really know, but he could have a pretty high floor too.
Yeah, and then looking at third base, I mean, he's not going to be top 5, top 6. Top 6 is Arenado, is Yandy Diaz is 7, Bregman's 8, Ellie De La Cruz is 9, Chapman 10, Muncy 11, Gunnar, Josh Young, Ryan McMahon. Probably slots in, what'd you say, like a little bit 10 to 12 there, and then he could potentially be top 7. So pretty similar, just first base has a little bit more depth.
Yeah, I think that's pretty safe, and that's very rosterable and very, very usable for the rest of the season, especially since we're in the dog days of fantasy baseball right now.
Yeah. And before going further here, we are brought to you by Circa Sports. The Circa Millions and Circa Survivor contests are back. There's 14 million in guaranteed prizes up for grabs. Circa Millions contest is 5 NFL picks against the spread each week, and the Circa Survivor is just pick a different moneyline winner each week. You have to enter in Las Vegas, but you can play from anywhere. The Sports Gambling Podcast guys will be out there the last weekend in August if you want to hang out. Circasports.com for all the details. Circasports.com.
Okay, so we talked about Christian Encarnacion-Strand. There was a couple other big prospects that got the call lately. We had Geloff and Soderstrom for Oakland last week. Now
Geloff's been better than Soderstrom so far.
he has, which surprised me a little bit. I actually picked up Geloff in my weekly points league to see how that goes this week. But two other top prospects did get the call on the same day as Christian Encarnacion-Strand. The first one I want to talk about is Endy Rodriguez, because I think he has value mainly more in points leagues for me than anything else. He's catcher. I gotta stop saying no. He's a catcher that has great plate discipline. He strikes out just a little more than he walks. He's like a 14% strikeout, 11% walk rate guy, which is good. He has a very, very good hit tool. He has a little bit of pop, but not a ton. He's very Bo Naylor minus the speed. Bo Naylor has a little more speed, and he might have a little better hit tool than Bo Naylor coming out. So I don't think he doesn't have the crazy high ceiling that somebody like Encarnacion-Strand has. Nobody has a ceiling like Ellie has. But he's very Bo Naylor-esque for me. But in a points league, I think he carries a lot more value overall, just because he does have that lower strikeout rate for his career in the minors. It's something he does year after year after year, striking out below 20%. And he always has that double-digit walk rate as well, which plays very well into points leagues. He's probably 15 home runs over the course of a year type player that could hit you 280 and not strike out a ton. So what would that be? Alejandro Kirk from last year, maybe, would be a good comp. It feels like Alejandro Kirk from 2022 would be a good comp. And Alejandro Kirk from 2022 was a top 10 catcher. So the Pirates are pretty dead set on getting him into the lineup every day. I know they called up Davis. I think it was last week they called up Davis, or the week before. He also kind of had the catcher upbringing, but they're using him in other places. Endy Rodriguez seems pretty dead set at being the catcher going forward. So is he somebody that's on your radar at all, Ryan, or how you playing it with Endy?
Not really. He's probably more of a wait and see for me. I mean, his 67 games this year at AAA, he's hitting 268, only 6 home runs. He does have, like you said, the points league. His strikeouts to walk is pretty good. He's been doing well in July. 11 for 33 with 6 walks and only 3 strikeouts, only 1 home run, no stolen bases, obviously. So yeah, I think he's going to be a solid bat for the Pirates, and maybe a decent fantasy baseball catcher at some point. But unless you're in like a really deep league or you want to take a shot on a guy in a keeper league, I probably would stay away for now until you can see what he can do.
Yeah, that seems pretty fair, especially the Pirates lineup's not great. So it's not like there's going to be a ton of, sorry, Pirates fans. It's not like there's going to be a ton of upside in the run scoring or RBI department, and he's likely to hit more towards the bottom of the lineup. I haven't checked the lineup today, admittedly, before recording this.
It's not out yet. I just checked it. It's not out yet.
There we go. Yeah, so hey, I didn't miss out on anything. He feels like I'm batting 8th or 9th type of player in that lineup, which is okay. They're still used for those guys. Very usable in a 15-team or bigger league. Very, very usable in a points league, as I said, and very usable in a 2-catcher league also, which 2-catcher leagues don't get enough love. It's kind of like 2 quarterback leads in fantasy football.
Yeah, it's going to be a battery making their debut for the Buccos there in Pittsburgh with Quinn Priester being caught up. You have anything on him? I know he's kind of been up and down so far this year in the minors. I did include him in my 3 streaming options available in 75% or more of leagues. Well, I think it's a decent look for him, in his first few starts. But what do you have on Priester, if anything?
I think he's just going to be a middle of the road kind of pitcher. Unfortunately, I think he's okay, but he seems more of like a back end of the rotation type of guy than a come out and light the world on fire type of pitcher. Mainly because he doesn't have a dominant fastball, which is something that if you're going to be an ace, you kind of got to have some kind of dominant fastball that you can rely on just to get the ball over the plate when you need to. But he has an excellent curveball, which is cool. Excellent curveball. He's got a pretty good slider. Just the fastball's not there. And I think that's going to lead to a higher whip, which is obviously going to lead to the inflated ERA and those types of things. So it's going to, don't be surprised if it's slow going for him out of the gate. Just because I think a young guy that doesn't you don't have to be a Bryson Miller with a 65% fastball usage rate, but you need to have a fastball you can rely on 45% of the time to at least keep you in a game at this point. Everybody's just going to sit back and wait on that curveball, and I don't think it's going to go very well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's really a fantastic option. He's one of these, pitchers getting called up that we just talked about, and then a few starts later, he'll be possibly back in the minors. Hopefully, though, that's not the case for Grayson Rodriguez, who already did that himself. He started the year, or he made a minor league start, and he got caught up. He was not good at the major league level this year so far. 7.35 ERA, but he is starting tonight against somebody for the Orioles. He's starting against the Dodgers at home. By the time this is published, that start will be completed. But what are your hopes for Grayson Rodriguez here coming back from this little stint in the minors?
I have high hopes because the big thing that Grayson Rodriguez was kind of known for coming into this year was that changeup. He has an incredible changeup, and he got to the major league level and started throwing it different, which was like a big no-no. Like if you have your pitch and you cut to the major league level and you start throwing it different, that throws everything off. And he became very hittable, very predictable, which is a terrible combo. All my cards just fell over into the desk.
Oh,
sweet.
No.
That's also a terrible combo. But after getting sent back down to the minors, a lot of times I'm iffy about some of these young guys getting sent back down really quick, because then it kind of can deflate the mentals a little bit. But I mean, in 4 of his games since he got sent down, he had double-digit strikeouts. He had 12 2 games ago. He only pitched 3 innings in his last outing, but the outing before that, 6 innings, 12 strikeouts. He's just been dominant. He had, I don't have the exact game off the top of my head, but it might have been 3 starts ago or 4 starts ago. He had the highest CSW in baseball for the entire year. Or I think it was ever. There's like a 49% CSW.
And what is CSW games for our listeners? And what is an average CSW?
Called strikes and whiffs. So it's called strikes and whiffs combined into one.
So half of his pitches were either swung out and missed or called strike.
Yeah.
Seems pretty good.
I think if I remember the stat correctly, Shane McClanahan in his game earlier this year where he had like 35 whiffs, I think that his CSW for that game was like the MLB record, and it was like 49.1% or something like that. And then Grayson Rodriguez is starting the minors. He was at like 49.6%. Just absurd. Like, he seems to have found what he had lost when he got up to the major league level. And this is going to be the test today against the Dodgers. This is a good lineup, and he's really going to be put through it. And I think if he comes out of this game, even with just a quality start with a handful of strikeouts, that's going to be really good for him going forward. And I think he gets back to that dominant pitcher we hoped he could be.
Yeah, I think we were kind of both big on Grayson Rodriguez heading into the season. I drafted him in the 13th round of my 12-team redraft. I've stuck with him, stuck him on the NA spot, and I'm hoping he comes back because since he's been in the minors, he hasn't had a bad start. Like he allowed 6 shutout innings, 6 innings, 3 earned, 10 strikeouts, 6 innings, 2 earned, 11 strikeouts, 4 1/3, 1 earned, 6 innings, 1 earned, 6 shutout innings with 12 strikeouts. Then that 3 innings, 1 hit, 3 walks, no runs you talked about last time. I have to imagine that was, we're giving him a look and then maybe calling him up. So they called him up. So they pulled him early. But yeah, the Dodgers are no easy task. Hopefully the Orioles get some advantage of the Dodgers playing so late. Not even late into the night, not last night, but it was a getaway day, and they played pretty late up in Citi Field. So yeah, I mean, I'll have to imagine Rodriguez will be back for the long haul now. This isn't like a spot start. So if he's available and has even a decent outing in tonight's game, I would go pick him up. The Orioles play in Tampa Bay this weekend. That's not a good spot. Dodgers and Rays are just throwing them right into the fire there. But yeah, I think I have high hopes for Grayson Rodriguez. I really do.
They're really putting him through it this week.
Yeah. All right, and we are brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Best Ball Mania 4 is here, and Underdog Fantasy is giving away $15 million in prizes. Underdog Pick'em is also a great way to get down on your favorite MLB and NFL season player props. So many ways to win over on Underdog, and Underdog is available in so many states. Head over to underdogfantasy.com and use promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. That's underdogfantasy.com, promo code SGPN. All right, we got Rick Ross in the YouTube chat here asking us a question. Good question here. Christopher Morel or Matt McLain or Zach Gelof at second base while Jose Altuve is out. Some good chatter there in the comments. Catherine Insano is saying that Altuve should be back soon, which he should. And Rick Ross said, he still wants a util second baseman because Altuve seems to be in and out. Out of those guys, I think I like Christopher Morel for the long run. Although I could see, maybe go with Zach Gelof, see if he can keep this up. But I think Morel is just the safest option and also has other eligibility that you can play him when Altuve is healthy.
Yeah, I'm on the Christopher Morel train with that too. I would probably rank them exactly how you typed them out: Morel, McLain, Gelof, and I don't think there's a big gap between Morel and McLain. So if you either one you wanted to go with, but I like Gelof's upside that he has. I just we haven't really seen a ton from him yet. But what we've seen looks good. But I wasn't sure how his game was going to translate to the major league level. It's translated well so far, and I'd have to see him be able to keep going with that before I can fully commit to that over Morel or McLain. But yeah, I like him just the way you typed him out.
Okay.
But waiver wire talk, my favorite.
I was saying, let's just continue with that. Let's Zach Gelof. We didn't really spend. I mean, you spent a decent amount of time on him. I kind of wrote him off when we talked about him when he was being called up. Hits in every 3 games so far. Had 2 stolen bases on Saturday. Hitting leadoff now after hitting 6th and 7th and 2nd. Is Gelof somebody you picked up or are looking to pick up or are telling people to pick up?
All of the above. I wrote about Gelof in my Fantasy Pros Weekly Waiver Wire article over the weekend. For as unsure as I was last time we recorded right before he got called up, I like what he's done so far. Again, we need to see it continue to kind of get a gauge on just how successful he can be. But he's hitting the ball hard, which is good. Hitting leadoff, which is excellent. Anytime you can pick up a waiver wire guy that is hitting leadoff, that's good. Get the extra at bats. But he's got some nice speed, man. The home run ability is not there right now, but he's got 2 doubles and a triple so far. Stole a couple bases, and he's only striking out 16% of the time, which is cool. There's a lot of upside there, I think. And he's kind of cementing himself as a guy with a pretty safe floor, maybe. So, yeah, he's one that I love, and he was still very widely available yesterday when I got the article out.
I think he's 6% in Yahoo right now. 9% rostered, sorry.
Yeah, and I mean, very available. A lot of people see Oakland Athletics and think, damn, that team sucks, and they kind of shy away from their players. But the problem is it's their pitching in reality is what really sucks.
I mean their hitters suck too. They don't have they don't have a top 100 150 fantasy baseball player.
I mean, Estieri Ruiz is good, Brent Rooker's good, Seth Brown is good.
They're not. Seth Brown's batting 198. Brent Rooker's batting 244. They're Noda is batting 224. I know you're going with him next.
Noda's nice.
The A's have had some good guys that have had some good runs, but you can't say their hitting's good. They have guys that
it's better than their pitching.
Okay, but there are guys that could be pieces on your fantasy team depending on the depth of your league. And I think Gelof could be one of them.
Pieces there.
Yeah.
What are you thinking about Soderstrom so far? Just throwing that one at you.
Honestly, have no idea what he's done. I'm gonna look it up.
Nothing
right now.
He went 2 for 4 in the second game, I think.
Okay, he's 3 for 10 right now. 0 for 3, 2 for 4, 1 for 3, hitting 5th. Yeah, that's fine. I don't expect him to hit for too much average. Would like to see some pop there. Only single so far, but yeah, I didn't pick him up anywhere. I'm not really planning on it. I think catcher is kind of a wasteland out there. Who you got though? Who you got top of your list?
Will Benson is somebody that I really liked this week. He's somebody that I really liked for week 14 as well. Still very underowned in a lot of leagues, and I don't think he should be. Like coming out of the All-Star break, since the end of May, he had 4 doubles, 4 triples, and 4 home runs, which is pretty cool. 7 stolen bases, 11% barrel rate. And the thing that he's kind of changed is he's making a lot more contact. So he's swinging at a lot less pitches and he's making more contact, which we love to see. He's got an 87% zone contact rate and he's only chasing 17% of pitches. He kind of went from a who the hell is this guy to like he starts every game against righties. He doesn't play against lefties. And they play all 7 games this week at Great American Ballpark, which is cool. The only problem is I think they play 2 lefties this week. So there's 5 games that he'll play this week, 2 games that he won't. But he has the power and speed combo. He's got a walk rate. I think he had like a 15% walk rate since the end of May, which is top 5 in baseball. And he's striking out less than 20% of the time. There's just a lot there all around to like. I know Christian Encarnacion-Strand just got called up. I don't think he's going to like bite into any of Will Benson's at bats.
Really? You don't?
I don't. I think guys like Kevin Newman and the shittier guys are gonna. I think it bites into Joey Votto's at bats before it bites into Will Benson.
We were dead wrong about Votto, by the way. Votto's been fantastic since coming back.
True, but all he hits is home runs, which I mean is cool. There's value there.
That's great.
But I like Will Benson.
I guess Benson is a good deep league pickup, but yeah, he doesn't play against lefties. He hits 8th or 9th in that order. Like he can have a good game every once in a while, but I don't know if I would go picking him up. But yeah, outfield can be tricky sometimes in deeper leagues. So take a look at Benson, especially given that he's at home all week this week.
Yeah, and then another one. I had like a really outfield heavy theme this week, which I always, when I write these articles, it can be kind of tough sometimes because I want to do my best to cover all the guys that I think everybody should be paying attention to. But then I also have to I have to make sure I have at least one AL, one NL guy in there for people to play in AL and NL only leagues. Yeah. And I don't want it to be all the same 2 positions for the whole thing and don't have 3 people from the same team. There's a lot that fucking goes into it. And sometimes it's exhausting. This one, unfortunately, was kind of outfield heavy, but it's okay because if there's going to be a position to be heavy on in a waiver wire article, it should be outfield where you roster more hitters there than any other position. But it's Mickey Moniak. Look, he strikes out a ton. He's getting everyday at bats because Mike Trout is out. He's been playing well this year. I hate the 31% strikeout rate and the 2% walk rate. That absolutely sucks. He has a BABIP that's 425, but he's batting 326. He's got 10 home runs. He's making solid contact with the ball. He has a 15% barrel rate, which is crazy. So he's doing some of the things that you want to see from a guy that have continued success. Like, I mean, we love a barrel rate around here. We've been talking about that for years. League average barrel rate, I think this year is like 7.5%. So he's double league average barrel rate. The problem is he's just swinging and missing at a ton of pitches. Very hyper aggressive at the plate. So in points leagues, it doesn't play quite so well because you are going to lose a chunk of points to those strikeouts. But he gets on base enough and has enough power that he's relevant in every other format. I think he's got a little bit of speed too, if I remember correctly. He's still 2 bases.
Two stolen
bases. We'll count it. Yeah. So I mean, in 41 games this year, he's got 23 extra base hits. Not half bad, especially when it comes to fantasy. So he is, I think he was 20% rostered on Yahoo. I may be dead wrong on that, but
he's up 19% this week to 35%.
All right, there we go. Still a waiver wire target, but he's only like 12% on ESPN. So he's somebody if you need an outfielder in a pinch.
Yeah, I completely agree. He was batting first. Now he's batting 3rd and 4th in that lineup without Trout there. He'll probably hopefully for anyone picking up Moniak, Ohtani stays so he can have some support in that lineup. But I feel like maybe if Ohtani gets traded, they might get 2 pieces back that you can put in that lineup. But yeah, I think Moniak, he was hitting just for power before. Now he's hitting for average as well. Obviously, a BABIP of 579 in his last 8 games and 425 in his last 18 games will help that out. But yeah, ride that while you can. Definitely pick up Mickey Moniak, former Philly, first overall pick. So he has the tools, he has the pedigree. It's just a matter of putting it together. And I think he definitely can. But speaking of barrel rates, 13.7 barrel rate percent. Tristan Casas, he has homered in every game since the All-Star break, including on Sunday when he was a pinch hitter. Homer in his only at bat at a Wrigley Field there. He's been pretty good recently. Looking at his Baseball Savant page, it's all red. Average exit velo, 83rd percentile. Expected WOBA, 78th. Barrel percent, 88th. Walk percent, 91st. Strikes out a lot, but expected slugging, 77th percentile. We're talking about first base. First base is deep, but Tristan Casas is someone you have your eye on at all or would consider picking up?
He is, because he's one of those guys that, he's a big-time prospect coming into the year. A lot of hype. Struggled really bad. I think till the end of May, he had a BABIP under 200, which is terrible. Maybe till the end of June, or not the end of June. Till like mid-June or something. He had a BABIP under 200. He really wasn't giving you much in real life baseball or in the fantasy department, but the tools were there. He had good minor league success that should have translated over to the major league level, and this may just be him finally figuring it out. And also, some of these guys just kind of need that all-star break to get their mind right. Like, you get a little break, you get a week off. Tristan Casas was definitely not playing in the all-star game, so he got a few extra days to kind of get the body right, get the mind right, and he's back. He's a guy that does have a little bit of sneaky power. He's got 25 home run ability. I like the pickup. I'm a little nervous just because I think this is like, he's kind of overachieving now, homering in every game since the all-star break. But there is a lot to like there going forward. I think, did you say it's like hitting 270 recently or something like that? Or am I just pulling that stat out of my mind?
I had his numbers up here over the past 14 days, 7 games, he's in 304. Past 28 days, 18 games, hitting 302. Like, his average is up there now. Like, he's been killing it for a little bit now.
Yeah, I think he's somebody that is worth a look in a lot of leagues, especially he's got first base eligibility. So there's value there, especially since a lot of people wrote him off. And how it works in fantasy, usually, everybody knows this. This when everybody's all in on a guy, and then that guy struggles for a large chunk of the year. Even if they heat back up, a lot of people just stay out on that person because they burned them or whatever else happened, and they just refuse to put them on their team. So this may be your chance to get him on your team and ride this out. It could just be a hot streak. So if he goes cold, I would recommend dropping him if he goes cold, because we still got to see what the real version of him is. But I like to pick up for now.
Yeah, on June 12th, he went over 4 to drop to 197. Since then, he is hitting 320 with 5 home runs and 13 RBIs, which extrapolates out to 37 home runs and 96 RBIs over a full season. So he's been doing this for over a month now. So it's a little bit more than a hot streak. Obviously, home runs in 3 games aren't going to continue, but he's going to be hopefully moving up that order a little bit and getting more some run producing opportunities.
Yeah, and then the last hitter that I have for waiver wire this week would be Kerry Carpenter of the Detroit Tigers. Since June 18th, he is hitting 297 with 7 home runs and 18 RBIs, striking out just 24% of the time. He's a really good contact, or he makes good contact. I should say he's a really good contact guy. In that time frame, 92 mile per hour average exit velocity, 15% barrel rate, 51% hard hit rate. So he's making crazy good contact on the ball. He plays in kind of a weak offense out there in Detroit, but they have a lot of like good young guys. I'll admit Spencer Torkelson has actually been pretty good as of late. Riley Green's pretty good. So Kerry Carpenter is somebody that he was on a little bit of a heater for a while, cooled off. He's been heating back up for the last 3 or so weeks, and I think it continues. He just killed my Mariners 2 home runs the other day, which sucked to watch. I think he hit those as I was writing my article too, which was just like, oh, I gotta add him to the article. But yeah, he's worth it. He plays in all league types. He does not going to get you any speed, but batting average, home runs, RBIs, runs, he's got you all that with the low strikeout rate. So Kerry Carpenter, if he's available, I'd say 12-team or deeper league, he's good to go roster-wise. Maybe a 10-team league with 5 outfielders. You can find a way to fit him in there as well. He is DH and outfield eligible. So you can, if you need somebody in a pinch, he's a good one to make some room for.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. He kind of came out of nowhere this weekend. I saw he had 2 home runs in a game. I was like, oh, Kerry Carpenter. I've never heard of this guy. He's hitting cleanup he's a Tigers cleanup hitter. So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, he has the power. Last year in 98 games between AAA and AA, he hit 30 home runs, and he hit 313 with a 1.025 OPS. So the power's there. Obviously, not a great hitter's ballpark, but yeah, I think he's going to be getting good at bats in that lineup, and he's going to continue hitting for power. So anyone hitting for power is worth rostering in 12-team leagues or deeper.
All right, and do you throw a couple pictures out there real quick because we enjoy doing that on these Monday episodes. Like a Tuesday if you're listening to the podcast feed, but Monday for all of our awesome listeners here in the live recording right now. Do you have like a top option that you're looking at for 2-start pitchers? And I would like to preface this by saying when we record these, our 2-start pitchers are guys starting Tuesday that are going to make 2 starts.
Yeah. I'm looking through them here. No one really jumps off the page. Daniel Lynch of the Royals at home against Detroit. He hasn't been bad. His quality starts in 3 of his last 4. The other one, he went 5 innings, gave up 3 runs against the Dodgers, got the win. I think he could be overlooked. I might write him up. He's only rostered in 5% of leagues. Jameson Taillon had a 8 shutout innings last time out against the Yankees and is now going against the Nationals. So that could be a good build up spot for him. Zach Davies against his Braves, no. Luke Weaver at home, no. Michael Grove, probably not in Baltimore and Oakland. So no, yeah, it's going to be Daniel Lynch and Jameson Taillon of the guys that are available in pretty widely available. Julio Teheran, I was on him pretty heavy early on, but he's had 2 back-to-back bad starts, and he's in Philadelphia tomorrow night, so can't like that one.
Yeah, I think my main guy, admittedly, I don't know off the top of my head his roster percentage. I think he's still low enough owned to be a streaming option. Tariq Skubal for the Detroit Tigers.
55% on Yahoo.
You know what? That means he's like 30% on ESPN. I'll take that. It's borderline, but we take those. He starts against the Kansas City Royals on Tuesday, and then he makes his second start at home against the San Diego Padres. I'm okay with both of those. Kansas City sucks. Like they're a good team to face because they have a very weak hitting lineup outside of like Bobby Witt Jr. And then San Diego has been very underwhelming this year. So you can get to them, especially if you get to them early. They are very swing and miss happy. You can get a decent amount of strikeouts there. And what Tariq Skubal has done this year, very under the radar, he's only made his 2 starts, only pitched 4 innings in each of them. So there's a little bit, or there has been a little bit of an innings cap on him coming back from the injury. But his fastball is up 2 miles an hour. His sinker is up 2.5 miles an hour. And he has just the most disgusting slider. It's only got a 15% whiff rate this year, but it's always been his most used pitch in his career. Got a 23% whiff rate last year. And his changeup so far is a 50% whiff rate. So he's missing a ton of bats. I think so far he's gone 8 innings, only given up 2 hits and struck out 11 or something like that on the season so far. So yeah, 8 innings, 2 hits, 11 strikeouts. I knew that off the top of my head. Let's go. Yeah. So there's a lot to like there. He has ace stuff, and it's not very often that you can find somebody that's, I can't even say this low roster because 55% on Yahoo, like 30-ish% on ESPN, but somebody in this roster rate that has ace stuff. So he's probably my favorite 2-starter for this week.
Yeah, and if Alek Manoah is still available after his first start back, he is going against the Padres at home. The Padres you mentioned have not been too great. And your boy Brian Wu is only rostered in 47% of leagues, so I would recommend him as well.
I would too. Brian Wu at home against Minnesota, at home against Toronto. Anytime you can get a Seattle pitcher that is making 2 starts at home, the most favorable pitcher's park in all of baseball, you take it. He strikes out a ton of batters. He's got a K- walk rate still north of 30%, which is crazy. So, I mean, I will say there's been some rumblings that Brian Wu may be a trade target of the St. Louis Cardinals. So I don't even know how long he may be a Mariner at this point. But yeah, there's a lot to love there with Brian Wu. And if he's available, he's worth it. I mean, Brian, not to go on another Brian Wu tangent, but he has a fastball and a sinker as his top 2 most used pitches. He tunnels them perfectly. One of them breaks 18 inches. I think it's his fastball breaks. His fastball breaks. His fastball has 8 inches of rise, and his sinker breaks like 14 inches inside to right-handed hitters. But they look identical halfway to the plate. I don't genuinely know how you actually hit pitches from a pitcher that can throw them like that. It's absurd. But everybody, make sure you are liking and subscribing on the podcast feeds, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, any other podcast platform you listen to. I think we're up to like 30 now that we are on. We appreciate all the love. Check out our work over at sportsgamblingpodcast.com and on our Substack, fakebaseball.substack.com. Me and Ryan are putting out a ton of content over there. You can go support more of our work there. We genuinely appreciate it. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Fake Baseball. Follow us on YouTube and Twitch at Fake Baseball Money on both of them. And you can catch me on Twitter at Buhlockay, BUHHLOCKAYE.
And you can follow me on Twitter at RGilbertSOP.
And we'll catch you guys next time.
See ya.